else, where did everybody drive? I'm sitting around the room and I'm like, Freddy, what are you doing on this side of the country, man? Where did everybody drive in from? Vegas in the house? Vegas! So Vegas, San Diego, where else? Lancaster? Wow, Sacramento. Thank you very much for driving down. Anyone else make a trek to come out here tonight? Palmdale, where else? San Bernardino. Because we can get the front lights on, we can turn these up, that'd be great. Big round of applause for everybody. We're making it out tonight. I was on the way down in traffic earlier today. Had a lot of time to contemplate, and I'm sitting there and I was just kind of absorbing how crazy it is to sit in kind of the ViSalus driver's seat in this day and age. It's crazy. I'm going to give you a perspective of my day. Is that okay with all of you guys real quick? Yeah. So I'm sitting in my office, right, Beverly Hills office, a little bit earlier, and I get a phone call from Roy Jones Jr. Any boxing fans in the room? Right? So at one point, right, the pound-for-pound best fighter in the sport. And Roy's a challenge promoter, just like all of you guys that are promoters out here. And he calls me and he's talking to me about his upcoming fight. Those of you guys that saw Roy at our last event in Atlanta, he challenged everybody to kind of follow him. He's going back in the ring December 10th in Atlanta. And he calls me up to tell me, total happenstance, that the gentleman that he's fighting, he just found out is also a Body by challenge promoter. I cannot make this stuff up, okay? Different organization, signed up in the company, and he presented me this idea of how they could up the ante on their pay-per-view fight on December 10th all around the challenge. I'm not going to leak the idea, but I will. But I promise you we'll be sending some emails next week, and it'll be... we're just going to add a little Body by challenge flair to the Roy Jones Jr. pay-per-view fight on December 10th. So that was cool fight. So I hang up, and then my phone rings again. And this is kind of a depressing story, but it shows you what's happening on a day-to-day basis. Someone who I don't know, have never met before, somehow, I don't know how they got my phone number, to be honest, reached out to me, and it was actually a group of individuals that are the top producing, what we would call promoters. They would call distributors of a competitive company. And it's a company that's been around about 4 or 5 years, and unfortunately, blindsiding. This is like the horror story stuff you hear in this industry. These guys, with no heads up, no calls from the owners, no anything, through an email, got told that their company was shutting the stores. Spent 4 or 5 years of their life building. And they called up, and they knew about ViSalus inside and out. He told me that their company had spent the last 2 years trying to copy everything we've been doing. True story. And because they were sitting there trying to copy our model, when they shut the doors, the first phone call they made was to ViSalus, because all of a sudden they had 26,000 people that they had put into an opportunity that was trying to be us, that all of a sudden no longer had a home. And they wanted to talk about how they could make an easy transition, right, for all of these people that were building that company. And it was about a 10-minute conversation, like, we know everything about you, we've studied you for 2 years, our company shut its doors, we have 26,000 people, and we want to find out how to sign them all up into ViSalus. So I hang up that phone, and at this point, one of my director of communications here next to me goes, well, that's 2 interesting calls in a row. And then I go into the boardroom where we have the Gergen family. Obviously, some of you guys know the Gergens. They're the primary shareholders of Blight. They founded the company, $1.2 billion public company, 30 years strong in the industry. And our amazing corporate partner. And they're in town. They flew out impromptu to kind of talk about some of our projections and plans for 2012. And I spent a couple hours this afternoon sitting in a room with some extremely bright minds. And I'm sitting there watching, the budgets and the plans and the initiatives, talking about, how we're going to go out there and revamp our brand over the next few months to really create a dominant brand presence and really a true billion-dollar brand. Talking about our international expansion strategies and the investments we're going to make to take the challenge into other continents starting next year. Going out there, and I'm sitting down here, I'm looking at budgets, right, that aren't like $1 million budgets or $10 million budgets, but you're talking multi-$100 million initiatives to go out there and take this idea, right? This thing that was an idea 7 years ago, right, across the globe. And I'm sitting there watching, sitting across, counterparts of, some of our now executive team. They walked away from multi-$100 million competitors to join ViSalus. I have an interview tomorrow with someone that was the CEO of a $400 million public company that's interviewing to be my VP of sales. Just so you guys, a CEO of a $400 million company that's interviewing to be my VP of sales because they want to work with what we're doing in ViSalus. I drive, to make it down here. I'm in the phone. You're in the car doing phone calls. I have a phone call with an industry voice, someone that reports on the entire industry that likes to keep tabs on what's going on kind of inside ViSalus. And he tells me how in the last week he's gotten, I think he said 3 different phone calls from Wall Street. From what? Wall Street. Hedge funds. Okay? Some of the largest hedge funds on Wall Street that reached out to him being the industry voice because they heard this rumor that ViSalus, right, these 330-somethings and a few thousand crazy ViSalians have a shot at being a billion-dollar company. How many of you guys have heard that rumor going on? And you got reached out by 3 hedge funds saying, these guys have a shot at this? Right? And as the industry voice, he's telling me this morning, and it was cool because he has no attachment to ViSalus. He just, all he does is report on the industry. And he's like, Blake, I had to tell him, he's like, I'm telling these Wall Street guys, like, from my perspective and everything that I can evaluate on what's going on within this company, everything put together, he's like, I got to give you guys an 80% shot at doing it by March. This is the industry voice telling this to 3 Wall Street. It was just interesting to sit back. He goes, Blake, you guys are going out there and you're validating the next evolution of our business model. You're taking something that generally has never hit that mainstream, never hit that, Wall Street doesn't talk about direct sales companies, guys. They don't. But they're watching what's going on with inside these doors. And I'm just giving you an idea, and then I come down here and meet with some amazing teams that are looking at our company tonight, and now I'm sitting in front of you, in front of what was expected to be 100 people that turned into 300 people to learn about the challenge. That was my day. Weird, right? What's even more crazy is that's pretty much every day at this point. I mean, at this point, at the rate things are going inside the walls of this company, I kind of sum it up like we get to experience once-in-a-lifetime opportunities a few times a day. How many of you guys think that's a pretty cool seat to be sitting in? And it's true. I mean, any one of those, 7 years ago when we started this company as an idea, I would have classified any one of those conversations as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And that was my, I don't know what day is today. Say Tuesday? Tuesday. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you. And for those of you guys that I haven't met, I know there's a lot of new faces in here. My quick background, I'm from Southern California, so definitely love doing events in Southern California. Despite the traffic to get down here, it's still better than flying to like Oklahoma or something. No offense, he came in from Oklahoma. But grew up out here. How many of you guys in the room prior to looking into ViSalus were already entrepreneurs, self-employed, business-minded by show of hands? Okay, cool. So how many of you guys had never thought about going out there and doing anything entrepreneurial before? Be honest, okay? So that's the rest of you guys. And for those of you guys who just raised your hand, my story is more like yours. A lot of people assume, looking at the growth rates of ViSalus, myself, Nick, Ryan, the 3 co-founders, they assume we all came from some business background. None of us came from a traditional business background at all. My story is probably the furthest from the truth. For those of you guys that I haven't shared that with, I grew up in an ultra-conservative family. Any of you guys grew up with conservative parents? Any of you guys grew up with parents that everything was strictly by the book, like follow the rules, grades were important? My mom is a principal, my dad is a cop. Not meant to be a joke. You guys can laugh at my pain. Ryan always jokes with me, pokes fun. He goes, Blake, when you were bad as a kid, did your mom give you B's and your dad give you tickets? But I was taught from an early age that in order to become successful, you had to be smart. And you guys grew up with that. You guys grew up with that understanding, like, you know, growing up, you thought in order to be successful, that you had, you know, to get good grades, you had to be the A student, etc. And I followed that path pretty much to a T. You know, I do have vivid memories still in my own head of stressing out about grades in 5th grade. Like, I can visually remember those little desks stressing out in 5th grade about the test. Because if I didn't get good grades in 5th and 6th grade, I wouldn't get into the honor roll classes in middle school, which means I wouldn't get into the advanced placement classes in high school, which means I couldn't graduate with what's called an accelerated GPA, which means the university I was supposed to go to was pretty much out the door, which means the law school that had my name on it was pretty much done if I didn't pass social studies after this. Again, you laugh at my pain. So I followed it to a T. You know, I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I can still go to my elementary school, true story, and see my name on a plaque as the outstanding 6th grader. I can still go to my high school and see my name on a plaque as the student body president. I graduated there with a 4.2 GPA. Went to school down in San Diego. UCSD at the time was a top 6 accredited university in the nation. Graduated there with degrees in political science, emphasis in public law, and psychology. And I graduated there in a total of 3 years cum laude. Yeah, awesome? No. Why? Right? Why? Not wow. Why? And I only share that with you guys because that was the environment that I was brought up in. And I remember the first time someone asked me, and I think Sherry mentioned the word achiever. First time someone asked me that when I was in college, I go, Blake, why do you do what you do? Why do you go through all of this? Big paradigm shift in my personal life. Because the only answer I had is that's what I thought I was supposed to do. Isn't that interesting? Not necessarily what I want to do, or I wasn't what I was passionate about, but it was what I thought I was what? Supposed to do. Now, at this point in ViSalus, it's fun because I get a chance to meet a lot of people. I mean, tens of thousands of people a month all across North America. A lot of people can't relate with that strict of an environment growing up, but I still find that a lot of people, still today, are doing things because they think that is what they're not what they want to do, not what they're passionate about, right? Not what they thought they would be doing when they were young, right? They're doing their own emotions. They're doing what they thought they were supposed to do. And you guys, I was fortunate that I got introduced to this industry when I was, 18, 19 years old. I sat in a meeting. It was the first time, right? Came in, first time I ever saw anything entrepreneurial. Got that bug, decided to make a decision, and I'll summarize my experience as a distributor in a direct sales company by this. How many of you guys would agree you become like those you surround yourself with? Yeah. True, right? You be parents in the room. Do you teach your kids that stuff, right? You become like those you what? Surround yourself with. Me, 0 to 18 years old, it was all about grades. You had to go this, that, the other thing. All of a sudden, how many of you guys would also agree entrepreneurs think a lot differently than everybody else? Yeah. Way differently, right? Most people tell you what not to do, right? They tell you what isn't possible. Entrepreneurs tell you what you can do. They tell you what is possible. And all of a sudden, shifted my environments at 18, 19 years old, surround myself with the right people, ended up doing very, very, very well in this space. But I'll share with you guys on a personal level, it took a serious reinvention. What's that word? Reinvention. To go out there and do that. Some of you guys, if this is your first time, looking at this opportunity, it may take a serious reinvention of yourself to go out there and put yourself in and try something new. Try something that's different than the way you were brought up. For me personally, trust me, it was a serious reinvention. I remember graduating college. You guys remember when how many of you guys graduated college? Okay, so put yourself in the state. I graduated college, had all these degrees, did it in 3 years, did it with Latin honors. I remember my college graduation party. When you graduated college, what did everybody on the planet ask you? What did they ask you? Oh, congratulations, you just graduated college. So they ask you what? So what are you going to do now? Okay, imagine being me, graduating, right, early, triple degrees, Latin honors, right? And they ask me what I'm going to do, and I say, I'm going to do network marketing. True story. I can still visually in my mind see the reactions of people. They thought I was crazy. Right? I'm going to go out there and sell long-distance phone service. That was the product we had at the time. When I say reinvention, guys, serious reinvention. Everything I've been taught. But you know what? A lot of the things you heard from the testimonies up here were the same things that I heard in that room, and it made sense. right? And I said, why am I going to go out there and want to be a lawyer? That's what I was told I was supposed to do, right? When there's lawyers wanting to get out of being lawyers to go out there and become